Hello, Steve White, Steve White 39. Well, you may notice I have some toys around me. I was just preparing to do a video on Star Trek toys, and I stumbled across Doomcock's latest Rumour Fest, and I thought it was fascinating. I had to comment on that first. Now, he was mostly talking about Star Wars and Doctor Who, not Star Trek, so no new promises of Star Trek Discovery being cancelled for the 8th time or whatever. But we had some interesting ones. One I just was like, really? I went there. For a while now, we've seen the fandom menace people decrying the fact that Hollywood is trying to cater to audiences other than them, like the Asian audience or the Indian audience, and China in particular. And because of all the prejudice and that against racism and that against China and that, they really are opposed to any films being made with any sort of aiming at China, basically. So I found that kind of weird, because most of them, because it's a huge audience, a lot of films in the last 5-10 years have been doing that, and to some detriment to the actual films. Like Transformers were a mess, mostly because they tried to cater to the Asian Transformer fans, who are very different from the American Transformer fans. So the movies really suffered, but for the most part, it hasn't really hurt any of the movies, although Hollywood does seem to have misfired a bit with some of the Asian-orientated films, which Asian people aren't seeming to like. I'm not even going to go into this whole other thing, but there's a couple of films like Mulan and a few others that didn't actually get received very well. So they probably need to, if they're going to do something aimed at a particular audience, they really should bring in people from that audience to actually work on it. But this big issue is just this idea that how dare they not cater to us white, straight American audiences. They have to do, they can't pander to gay audiences or trans audiences or Chinese audiences or Indian audiences. It has to be white, straight male, basically. And he's jumped into that one with Doctor Who. Apparently one of his sources has said that the Chinese audiences said they will not air the next season of Doctor Who if there is a black person in it. They have to remove the black character. Now, you'll know with Star Wars that they did actually, Disney actually minimised John Boyega's role, not just in the posters, but also in the films, because apparently they were trying to cater to the Asian audience, who doesn't particularly like black folks. So that wouldn't, you can see where they made that one up. I totally believe that's made up. The whole Doctor Who, we're not going to air the show if there's a black person in it, and they have to remove all the black main characters and can only have really small roles, and that's ridiculous. There's no way anyone from any Chinese network or company said you have to remove the black people or we won't screen it on TV. That's just totally ridiculous, racist vilification of the Asian market, I guess, or the Asian networks, or I don't know who is financing or communicating with, or the American production companies, so far as catering to them and getting things done that actually will be receptive. Their audience will be receptive to. It's just ridiculous. And the other thing that I was saying was that they want a Chinese character on the show. Well, that makes perfect sense. I can see people saying, look, we can sell this to our audience if there's someone they can relate to, like a Chinese character or a Chinese actor playing a Chinese character. That makes sense. I can see that. I can see them saying that. But the idea that these companies or networks or I don't know who would actually be associating between, as I just fumbled through then, there's no way they would have sat there and said, no, we can't have black people because Asian people hate black people, so we can't have black people. So they're just trying to play on the racism there. And I heard that and I'm like, you are kidding me. That is so low. I've heard all the sort of indications that, shows are being compromised, trying to cater to different audiences, which I think is kind of true, but they do have to do it, and they should do it, because there isn't just an American audience for their shows. There are international audiences, and they have to cater to them to some extent. But this was just too far. And the next thing that was interesting, and sometimes he says stuff which I think, well, that could actually be true. That could be possible, whether he's guessed that, surmised that, or whether someone has actually leaked that out, was that apparently they did a scene at the end of Doctor Who with not reinvention, what is it? Regeneration. Apparently they had a female doctor and a male doctor with a green face because they have no idea who the next doctor is going to be. And I'm like, okay, why? In one level, it made sense they do it that way because they don't know which is going to be, at least of options. But the other part is like, well, why would they film a scene they're just going to have to fix with effects? If they're going to get a new actor in, why wouldn't they just, unless, I don't understand. I actually, initially I thought, well, that kind of makes sense, they might do that. But I'm like, well, why on earth would they do that when they could just, why would they film the person's face to impose it when they could just film the person doing the regeneration scene? Like they have the Jodie half where she fades out and the half where the other one fades in, basically. I haven't watched the regeneration scene for a while, I'm sorry. I can't remember how they go. But I thought that was kind of interesting at first, and now that I say it, I think, no, actually that sounds really stupid. Like, why would they do that? They'll talk of different actors who are involved. Supposedly Tilda Swinton was and she's been talked about for a while to play the Doctor. There was talk that she was in, and that Idris Elba was going to play a version of the Master who was literally playing a master on a plantation, which seems bizarre that he'd want to play some sort of race-swapped sort of role like that where he's playing the master on a plantation when obviously in the past the plantation masters were white and they had black slaves, so I'm not quite sure about that. But apparently he was out once Tilda was out. He might have just been in because Tilda was in, but it may also just be totally rumour. So it's interesting. And the Star Wars rumours were that they are planning to beg Gina Carano to come back to be in the Rangers series, because if they do want to do the Rangers series, if it was built around her, it's going to be kind of difficult to do it without her. I mean, I guess they could recast, that'd be the easiest thing. But if they are, if you know, the people who were working on the series, if they were sort of really wanted her, I can sort of see them just feeling the best thing is to get her back rather than to try and change it. So that's not impossible, but I still don't see Disney allowing them to bring her back, since they made such a big point of removing her and saying she does not speak to our audience. We cannot have people in our show who are right-wing COVID hoaxers and anti-maskers and anti-trans, and or allowing anti-trans people to use her comments, you know, to promote anti-trans sentiment and so forth, which I think is ultimately what happened with her. I don't think she actually has any issue with trans people. So there was that rumour. What was the other one? Oh, another one, there was an interesting one. There was talk a while ago about, there was a scene where one of the characters has cancer and reveals it to the Doctor, and the response from the Doctor was really cold and really alienated people from the character. And I felt that, but I wasn't really sure. I wasn't as familiar with the Doctor, but I never saw him as someone cold or heartless like that. So I did feel like it did seem out of place, but I'm not as familiar with the character. I remember the Tom Baker years. I mean, I don't remember the Tom Baker years because I wasn't around for them, but I saw those episodes repeated years later, and that's the Doctor who I was sort of most familiar with, and Eccleston. And they didn't seem to be inhuman, heartless creatures. They're aliens, but they seem to have human emotions, so I didn't really see why. And the talk was that they'd actually written, the gossip is they'd written a decent scene, but Jodie Whittaker acted it so badly that they had to edit it down to basically her just saying, I'm not good with emotions, and that the other actor left because he'd done this big, beautiful, dramatic scene on his side, and they'd basically cut it up and it was on the editing floor because there was nothing they could use from Jodie's side, so he didn't want to do it. And I'm like, that's slamming Jodie's abilities. From what I hear, she's a decent actor when she's not pretending to be the Doctor, because she just does this weird, from what I've seen, just this, I can't comment too much on her because I haven't seen enough of her playing the Doctor to really have an opinion, but I didn't think her acting, I didn't think she was a bad actress, just this role, her take on this role wasn't right. So I'm not sure, that seems to be just slamming her abilities as an actor, which seems just a little bit petty. But who knows, it might be true, who knows. I can't remember the last time Doomcock was right about anything, but, you know, you never know. I think that was it, but that was all of it. I just watched his video and I thought, wow, that's a lot of interesting rumours. Some of it's ridiculous. The Asian people saying you cannot have a black person in the show or we won't screen it is just ridiculous and offensive. The rest of it is just weird. Some of it's interesting. And like I said, the green face thing seemed like the kind of thing they would do because they like to have options. They film different endings and all these alternate versions that they screen and test and all this sort of stuff. But then I sort of thought about it and I thought, why would they do that? If they're going to have a male actor, they'd just have that actor lay down and do the regeneration scene. I guess I mean, if Jodie's changing into him, they just need Jodie's side film. It doesn't matter what the other half is. It just doesn't make any sense. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Do you think any of these rumours are true? Because Doomcock is now presenting them with like a tablespoon or a whole bucket of salt, because he has been burned a few times with people giving him fake rumours just to make him look bad. But he's also, I think, made up a bunch of rumours just because, you know, the titles really worked and were clickbait and got people in and spoke to the base and told people what they wanted to hear, so they kept listening. I think there's quite a bit of that as well. So I don't know how genuine he is, if he's actually wanting to like talk to his audience or share, or I don't know. But this sounded like crap. A lot of this. But I'm going to go. I'm really going to go. Thanks.